The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful day. We just go right in. I'm very happy today. I usually am quite happy, but I'm even happier today.
Especially happy?
Especially happy today because we got this incredible news that one of our fine Sentinels got an incredible opportunity.
Yes.
And has been given a job offer with Toronto Police Service.
Shout out to Toronto.
Starting off as a cadet in training and going right to the service to achieve the goals that she's had. And we're going to go into that. We are talking about Sarah Rumbell.
Yes.
Sarah with an H for those of you that are asking.
You hear the crowd.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
And are you excited?
I'm very excited.
I mean,
let's just say first, that was kind of to the audience.
Yes.
Congratulations. Incredible job.
Yes.
I mean, when we found out, it was like amazing. Like the silent fist pump. It's like, yes. Because you definitely have worked and deserve it, and you're going to be an asset to any team.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
And she kind of surprised us because I kind of was coming to the office. I'm like, Sarah, what's up with your uniform? Why is it all packed up nicely? She goes, I got on.
Oh yeah, there's a picture.
Yeah.
There's a famous photo floating around
Yes,
right now of like the perfectly folded
Yes,
uniform.
it was such a nice photo.
Yeah.
And Dragon, you can actually see this little tear in his eye. You know what I mean?
I
It's
know.
like, yeah.
I mean, if his shoulders weren't in the way, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You can see more of the tears. Anyways, congrats.
Thank you.
Amazing. So,
can we ask, how does it feel?
yeah, how does it feel?
Like when you get the news, because not everyone gets this type of news. It's a major, it kind of totally changes everything that you've done. We know that this was your goal. It's your goal. It's your goal. When you get the word, give us an idea of those first moments.
It's almost a little surreal, to be honest with you, because everybody's different, but for me, this was my second year in a row applying.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, once you start, there's so many steps to the process, and when you just keep moving forward and moving forward and moving forward, you get a little more excited each time. And then when you finally get it, it just hits you, and you just have that moment of, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
I did
amazing.
it.
Where were you?
Wow.
Give us context. How did you find out? Where were you? Were you?
I probably was at home.
Yeah. You don't even remember.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just you just get so excited. And I knew, for me, Toronto does their fitness testing last.
Yes.
So I knew, so it's right after the fitness test, they take you in and you talk to one of their administrator,
Right.
just to tell you what are you gonna do next? Here's what to expect.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it was more so at that moment where you sit down in the room and you're being told, all right, here's your instructions for your medical. Here's what's going to happen next. And then obviously you know yourself best. So I knew I'm going to pass the medical. I'm going to, everything's going to be perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
So you sit there and you go, well, you know what? I made it.
Yeah.
And then
It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening. This one last thing and I'm golden. And then, and then it also sinks into when you go on for your onboarding session, they bring you in and they you have your conditional offer printed out in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and you've all pre-done it on DocuSign, and you're sitting there going, this is so special.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with 33 other people who have worked just as hard as I have to be sitting in this chair, and I know how lucky I am and privileged I am to be sitting in that chair, because every service gets thousands of applications.
Yeah.
So for you to sit there and
It's
be
incredible.
that person,
Yeah.
you
won the lottery.
The
It's like winning the
feeling.
lottery.
It is, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's, that's a really good way to describe it.
Yes.
Sitting there feeling that feeling of, oh, I've done it.
Now,
yes,
now the only
lottery
difference.
feeling.
Now the only difference, and I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure for those listening, Sarah did not get on TPS just by luck, because I know there's an element to luck with lottery. Sarah got on, and we're going to unearth this story today because a lot of people, Sarah, are going to hear your journey, especially women, okay, especially. But they're going to hear your journey. And if Sarah can do it, so can I. And that's kind of really what we want that message to be. But for those listening, there was a lot of work. Sarah did not just apply and get on amongst the thousands. She came in, and we're going to unearth everything that she did, but she demonstrated, to her recruiting officers, she was able to articulate her experience, breaking down how to problem solve, able to communicate. She was able to pass the prep test, which is a very grueling physical, okay? And as a stat, 50% of women, from what we're hearing, fail that test. You made that. And she didn't just do it, she trained for it. So we're going to unearth today what she did, what you can do to help you get as well to that goal. Now, Sarah started with Sentinel this year, January.
I did, yep.
So her journey with us is not a very long journey, but it was such an impactful journey because in those 10/11 months, she was able to come in, level herself up, and get herself to a position to make her overall resume, her overall experience very attractive to the Toronto Police Service.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we do this before, because I'm very curious myself. I know you had an aspiration when we first asked you that question coming in. What do you want to do as a career? And you said right away, I want to get into policing.
Yes.
How long have you had this passion to get into policing?
I would say policing came around for me probably around my second year of university.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was really, I didn't take police foundations or anything like that. I have a BA in arts.
Okay.
I
Shout
didn't even,
out to the arts community.
yes.
shout out to the arts kids.
Yes, yeah.
But I made that decision, and it was, I was lucky enough to have a family friend who's been with the Toronto Police Service for, he must be over 30 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I when I made that decision, because I was still in school and I still had a chance to change my major, my minor. It was only second year. You declare that in second year.
Right.
And I spoke with him on the phone multiple times, and I was lucky enough to have him say, it really doesn't matter what you're taking in school. It doesn't matter if you have police foundations, if you're the math kid, the bio kid, the arts kid. It doesn't matter. Just get your degree. The degree itself matters more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you take.
Okay.
And I went, great, because I really enjoyed taking, anthropology and history, which is my major and minor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, great, like I can continue with that. I love it because it was just such an interest to me. I think they'll both help me in different aspects of policing. I mean, anthropology in the simplest definition is the study of what makes us human. And that involves, the more history side of it. That involves the, sociological side of it. So you are getting bits and pieces of different parts and how to kind of put them all together.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
and to utilize it. Now,
But, I did make that decision in university. And
Yeah.
then, like the second I graduated, I was immediately right into it. I was like, let's go. I'm ready.
And
Sure.
who what was your jobs right after university? Like, what'd you do so you can kind of build that experience bank?
So right after university, I unfortunately graduated university right when COVID blew up.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I was having a really hard time finding employment.
Right.
And so I ended up, just working at a grocery store.
Okay.
And then, before that, I was in marketing materials in a seating manufacturing company, and I loved doing that. I had previous reception work, and so I had a little bit of the customer service side of it, but, I was applying to policing as, a produce clerk at a grocery store.
Right.
Yes. Shout out to the produce clerks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Shout out to all those Loblaws produce clerks
yeah.
who have the same aspirations
Yes.
as me, because there were a few
Right.
Amazing.
at my specific store I worked at.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I got into that first interview, which was with Toronto, and you know, at that point in time, I didn't realize that I didn't have the right experience. I did have a little bit of customer service, and that was great, but I didn't have, you know, job related experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my first interviewers, they were amazing. They're incredible. They really do want you to pass. They're not there to, you know, sit and knock every single example you provide them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They give you multiple chances. And unfortunately, I was unable to answer the questions because I lacked the experience.
You couldn't articulate the experience, what they were looking for,
Yeah.
relatable to policing. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. And they are not, you know, they're not obligated to end an interview and tell you what you need to do to better yourself. I was lucky enough to have that. And they just said to me, you know what, Sarah, you're a great candidate. You check a lot of our boxes here, but you're missing that job related experience. And our best advice to you is to go and get a job that is relatable to policing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came out of their mouths was, why don't you try security?
Yeah.
So I took that advice, and I'm so glad I did.
Mhm.
Because right after that I went, okay, I unfortunately didn't know about Sentinel at that point.
Right.
I found a job working for Paladin, and I
Right.
was down at Mount Sinai Hospital for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Which was incredible experience on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel enough that I was rounded enough in my security experience.
Okay.
I had the hospital experience, and yes, you deal with everybody at the hospital, and it's very, very challenging at some days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it did get me used to shift work, because we had continentals, which is
Yeah.
great. I got a taste of day shift, I got a taste of night shift, 12-hour shifts. I'd never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. But then I realized, you know what? Cops don't just deal with, you know, the hardest things, like having to, you know, arrest people and restrain people and all those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you think of policing as a whole, you know, they're doing it all. They're doing the crowd stuff. They're doing, you know, stuff on the street and all that sort of stuff. So for me personally, I wanted to make myself more well-rounded. And I got online, and I believe it was Indeed.
Yes.
I found the Sentinel posting for hires, and I thought, wow, okay, event security would be great, because now I've got the hospital side of it. Now I can get more of the entertainment side of it. I can get the big crowd control kind of experience and all that comes with that. And I joined.
Okay.
I came in here, and
Yeah.
you were amazing.
Okay.
You're like, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be policing. And immediately it was, I'll never forget, immediately you're like, full on support it. Fantastic. Like, we're going to help you get there. And it's amazing. Sentinel really is amazing that way, because at least in my experience, I know I've only worked for one other security company, but they, you know, you're just another hire. You're not,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
they don't really care if you're, you know, you want to go in policing, or you're just doing it for part-time because you're in school or whatever it might be. And they're not teaching you things that you need to know in order to be a good constable. one day.
Right. Right.
As opposed to here, you are getting that.
Did you
all
do you
your
find that
time.
you benefited from some of the coaching that was provided to you from like ops and whatever, just to kind of help you guide and make good choices?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's really important to understand that when you it doesn't matter what you're doing, if it's security, if you're a special constable, parking enforcement, whatever it is, it's so important that you understand when you wear a uniform, whether it's a tactical uniform or it's a suit and tie at an event, everybody is looking at you. You have to acknowledge that and always remember it in the back of your mind, because everybody has a camera, you know? everyone's got a cell phone. The place you're working at perhaps has security cameras and that sort of thing. And it's the reflection of you as, as an employee, as a person, how you carry yourself, how you handle yourself in situations. But most importantly, it's your representation. You're not just representing yourself, you're representing your security company, your police service, whether you're on duty or you're off duty.
Your family,
Yes.
everything, like
Okay.
everything.
So I want to just pause on that for a second, because
Great-
this is
great points.
This is super important. So, first of all, what I can tell you about Sarah is that she was a very good worker. She was a very professional worker.
Yes.
She took the work seriously, and most importantly, you wanted to make something good out of the opportunities that were given to you, making a change, making a difference. Very evident. When we got down right to the recruiter connecting for a reference check, we whipped open that file and we gave Sarah a glowing endorsement, because at the end of the day, that is well deserved what you did. And I want people to just listen for a second.
Well, it's not an endorsement of opinion.
No, it's endorsement of fact.
Of fact in the track history.
Exactly.
Okay, right?
And just hear Sarah talk right now. It's oozing out of you naturally about how you look at things. For a lot of people that come in, to our organization and they're struggling with getting into their goals of policing, I want them to really pay attention to what you're saying right now, because you need to come in with the little that we provide you. And that little is a high standard. And we're trying to set you in place for the big. So what you're able to do, Sarah, is come in, apply everything that we're giving you, listen, take that direction, and make a difference on your job sites. Also, be a person that stood out, meaning as in your work was recognized by leadership, your work was recognized
clients.
by management, and it was recognized by clientele. So if all three major parties are recognizing this, that means you're doing something right.
It's called unanimous.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's no hidden agenda here. There's no hidden motive. This is just good work ethic. So I want people to understand here that what Sarah demonstrated in our organization in just 10 months
Yes.
was going above and beyond what average is considered. And that's the thing I want you to hear. What's the very first thing Sarah said? Part of 33 in your class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of thousands.
Yes.
Guys, girls, wake up right now. If you want to get a seat with Toronto, with Peel, with Halton, whatever service you apply, and you're going to be competing against thousands of people, I want you to remember one thing. You're competing, which means average doesn't cut it. You come to work and you do the bare minimum, it doesn't cut it. If you want the edge, go above and beyond. What would you say, Sarah? Because again, you work with many of our Sentinels, and I'm sure you saw people that were at different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that, how you looked at that. Did you look at it as a competitive thing where I want to try to elevate the game a little bit more? Like, what did you do to kind of get yourself to be in the place to make yourself lucrative to a police service?
I think in the easiest way, it's, first and foremost, it starts with you. So how driven are you? How badly do you want it? Because there are cases, and I'm not saying this happened in Sentinel at all, but there are cases where you have people who do want it that badly, and they will do whatever it takes to get there. And then there's people who, aren't quite there yet. And
they say it, but don't show it.
Yeah, their
right?
actions don't necessarily reflect their aspirations.
Yeah. And for the majority, that's the majority.
And
okay.
For myself and hopefully for others is either you choose to elevate yourself for what you want and help people who aren't there yet get there, or you can be happy with the bare minimum and know that there might be a little chance it'll get you there.
Yeah.
But again, when you're competing against thousands of other applicants who are younger than you, older than you, different experience levels, different life experience, you have to find a way to separate yourself from the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
And there's numerous ways you can do that. You know, you can do that. You can do that through education. You can do that through your work. You can do that through volunteering. You can do that through even if you're done school, if you're graduated, go back and do a course.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want an elevated, first aid and CPR, if you want to learn another language, or just keep building on what you already have, because they take notice in that. They do.
Yeah.
So if you've applied more than once, they're going to look at your application every time and go, what has this person done to improve themselves from last time?
Yes.
Just like in Sentinel, they want to see an improvement in you. And that's very important.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's amazing. You know, there's a couple of things. I love it because you're just talking,
Yeah.
but it shows your mindset. When you first brought up, like, okay, I got a chance to work at Mount Sinai. Shout out to the great people at Mount Sinai. They do some really important work. It's a tough environment, right? And you said, this is your exact words. Essentially, you were introduced to shift work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you said, I got a chance to work days, work nights. That was great. That's your mindset right now. Think about that right there. Like, a lot of people who say they wanted to get into policing would never say still that it's great that they got a chance to work nights. Okay. And it showed that, we talk about this often. You probably know why you want to be in policing. It's your driver. It's not like just something fleeting like, oh, I get paid a little bit better there than this job. Okay. We've had some people say, oh, people just want to be cops to get paid well. Have some people told us that?
100%.
Okay. I mean, there's other jobs to do to get paid really well. That's the truth. To endure everything that you would have to endure to be a cop. It's probably not just for the pay, right? So I think applaud you, but I think it's just nature. That's your outlook. Your outlook was, I am willing to do whatever it took. And you knew how to line up the day-to-day work of working in security with what would be asked of you when you go into policing. So now it had purpose now, right? It's not like just like, oh, the company's asking me to work a night shift. It's like, no, I know how to line it up with where I want to be. And I think that's wise, but it also shows you why you never like took your hand off the plow. You didn't ever we know from your track history here. Did she have like the bad summer of 2022?
No.
Where no.
She was consistent.
There's no chapter in
Yes.
your book. It was like you built and you progressed. Going back to what you just said, even the police agency that you started with and went back to because you applied to a couple, right? Which is awesome that, that was your zealousness and you realize, okay, no, I got to put focus. But when they looked at it, they saw progress, right? They looked at it and said, okay, where you were before, you're definitely making inroads towards improving, okay? So even still, now that you got this news, are you resting? Give us an idea of your mindset. You won the lottery of being chosen, essentially. I mean, can't call it a lottery. There's probably a better word.
Yes.
You won the race,
Yes.
okay?
That's
You
a
made
good
it
one.
across the line.
Yes.
Many drop off. Many who say it with their words don't do the day in, day out work. Even those who are really qualified, because it's a competition, only so few make it through. That's yourself. Now, where's your mentality? Now that you're on, are you like, okay, Cancun, here I come? Okay, like I'm just curious,
No.
like, look, permission to be transparent. Yeah.
It's always nice when you get on and you, especially, when you get your conditional offer and you start learning of all the great things that come along with being a police officer. Just things like, yeah, you're getting paid a lot more money. Yes, you're getting incredible benefits.
Yes.
And that's all wonderful. But once you get there, you don't let your foot off the gas. My foot's still on the gas and the pedal's on the floor now. Because you're not, yes, you've achieved signing, an offer, but it's a conditional offer. You can still be let go. You have 6 months more to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So my foot is still on the gas. I'm going, you don't let your fitness drop. You don't let anything drop, basically.
Yeah.
It's what can I do now? Like I'm starting training in about a week and a half, but I'm still thinking, okay, well, what can I do in my 2 weeks that I have now that will benefit me come training time?
Yes.
So we had to, order 2 textbooks. It's you got to start learning, you got to start learning all your arrest laws, all your, traffic information. I've already started.
Yeah, so you're preparing even more.
I'm preparing even more.
That's a winner's mentality.
I want to give myself as much of a leg up, if you will, as I can over my peers, basically.
Yeah.
So
And that's by being prepared.
yeah, and that goes in by being prepared. You don't, just because you have your conditional offer, nothing's set in stone yet.
And let's just, for those listening, you're 100% right. There has been many cases where there's, by the way, when all these classes get together, you're doing a probationary period to kind of go over knowing all your information, your statutes, all that nine, and of course maintaining your physical. So they're having people that have just kind of let their foot off the pedal. I made it, and then they drop off. Okay, we've actually had examples of that. We've seen that happen before. So the fact that you have that is huge. Now you brought up something regarding the physical. Okay, so I want to touch upon that a bit because I think it's very important. Talking to many police services, many recruiters, the number one thing that they all can say is that we have a huge amount of people that on a yearly basis fail the prep. And they fail.
And not just general applicants that are poised, ready, and they want to come
exactly.
on to
They have everything that they need.
Yeah.
And this is the one area. However, in their discovery process, they find out, oh my goodness, like, did you prepare for this? No, it's just, I just got to run a little circuit and maybe do a little run. And they kind of discredit what is actually needed, and they end up getting taken out by the prep.
Yes.
So I wanted to touch upon that because obviously something that we just kind of kicked off in the last couple of weeks is the arena, which is a place that people can come in and actually practice the prep so they can be able to get closer. And the inspiration behind that, Sarah, was for our people and also for women because we really wanted to help with that. Can we talk a little bit about the physical? How did you approach the physical piece? And then how did the prep help you? Or what did you do to get ready for the prep to kind of get you going there?
There's a lot of things you can do, especially whether you're male or female, but I think it's probably especially important as a female because, obviously, generally speaking, we're smaller than men are. We're not as strong as men are. That's just the way it is. That's just life.
Okay.
But if I can give anybody advice on making sure they're prepared for the prep test, that is taking advantage of everything that you can go do on your own time. So if you don't think you have the time, go make the time.
Okay.
And I can't say how amazing it is that Sentinel now has the arena. That is such a huge leg up for employees here who are able to go and do that. And I don't know if it's just for employees or people who are outside can come and join.
So it's opened up to all employees and all women for free.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. So
men, you got to pay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
So what I did, obviously, because the arena wasn't just quite ready yet, before I had to do the prep test. So if you're with Sentinel, take advantage of it. It's so vital, especially as a woman, because there's a lot of things that women struggle with on the prep test, particularly the push-pull machine, the arm restraint machine, and the dummy drag, which I'm not going to sit here and pretend those aren't hard things for me because they are really hard things for me. Those are the 3 aspects of the test that I had to put the most focus on because everything else I could do with ease.
Did you ever fail it, by the way, the prep session? Or did you ever try it out and be like, oh man, I'm far off?
I was lucky enough that my fitness was good enough that when I first did the prep test, yes, I failed, but I only failed by about 10-15 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the prep test, as I'm sure anybody or most people who are going into policing know, you have to complete that circuit in 2 minutes and 37 seconds or less.
Yes.
Right.
So I wasn't far off the mark, but I go, okay, what can I do to get myself to the mark or less than the mark. And the goal was to not be at the mark. The goal was to be as far off from that 237 as I could be. And what I did was, if you follow any police service, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it might be, because you work for a company who isn't fortunate enough to have their own arena to go practice in,
Right.
services every month will hold practice prep sessions. You can go for free. You can go to these sessions. Yes, you might have to drive. Maybe you have to take half a day off work or a day off work for it. It's worth it. Not only does that show the service your interest, but it also shows them that you have a flaw here and you're doing your best to...
You're putting in the work.
Yeah, you basically, in so many words, you're putting in the work, right? And it's so beneficial because these people who run the prep sessions with each individual service, they help you, especially females. They say, you know what? Especially when you're doing the push-pull machine, that comes down to technique a lot of the time. You're not allowed to smash the weight up and down. It has to be controlled. There's more efficient ways to move the weight side to side than what you would imagine your first go.
So having the prep sessions made available to you, you were able to experience what you need to also work on when you officially do the test.
Yeah. So not only does practicing the test tell you where you need to improve, but it also gives you an understanding of what you're in for.
Yeah.
And when I first went to my prep test, yes, I still did very well. I missed the mark by a little bit, but I had no idea. I had no idea how heavy things were. I had no idea how to go about the test.
So having access to the prep facilities gave you a lot of exposure.
It gives you so much, yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. When you did your actual test,
Yes.
the actual test, did you see anybody else fail?
On the practice ones, yes.
Okay.
Funny enough, when I went to do mine with Toronto, all of us passed that day.
Oh, wow.
Which was amazing.
Amazing.
And out of all the people that were there, including myself, there were 5 females.
Yeah.
Everybody else was male.
Yeah.
And I was so proud that all 5 of us did it.
Yeah.
So good.
Amazing.
And we're all different sizes. We're all, we're all different heights, sizes, whatever. And we all managed to pass.
So, Sarah, if you're going to give some advice right now for somebody listening,
Yes.
and you've given actually quite a bit right now, but if someone does it and they fail it and they're so discouraged, what would be your advice to that person?
You don't truly fail until you stop trying.
Man, that is
Amazing.
good. You just created a T-shirt for Mike.
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So the second you go, "Oh, I can't do this, it's too hard," then you failed because you've stopped trying. If you don't look at your failure as a failure and you look at it as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, then you're not failing. You're growing. So if you say, wow, I can't jump over that wall, it's so high, or I can't pull that dummy, it's so heavy. It's okay. Because you can get there. Whether you have to go to the gym, that has a sled, or you have to go buy yourself a weighted vest, which is what I did. There's always ways to improve yourself. And struggle or not, everybody's struggling with something. You're not the only one, whether it's the prep test, the interview, whatever. You're not alone. There's a lot of applicants that have gotten stuck where you've gotten stuck. But again, every time you go and you experience it, you're going to learn something new that will benefit you in the end. So yes, it might hurt a lot at the time. It might suck. You might be so down on yourself, but all you have to do is just change your mindset.
That's it. You said the key word of the
Just
day.
flick it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not, yes, you might, be knocked out for another year. But if you don't think about it as, I have to wait another year, go, fantastic. I have another year. I have an entire year. I have 12 months to improve myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to, it's consistency, right? It all comes down to consistency. If you have to take the odd, if you can and you can take the odd day off work, do it. My personal advice too is, if you're going to go to practice tests or interviews or whatever, talk to people. Don't just, yes, they are your competition, but they can also be of great benefit to you as well, because they might have been doing this for 3 years. They might have been, doing it for 1 year, or however many times it's taken them to get there. They still know something you don't. So if you sit and chat people up, and then again, it's you, in the sense you're making connections with people. So if you don't know somebody who is on Toronto or York or whatever you want to be, chances are you'll meet somebody in that area or wherever you've gone, whatever you've gone to do that day. They'll go, oh, I know someone in Toronto. I know someone in York. And then, like, seriously, just exchange numbers. Like, just be personable with people.
Yeah.
Because those connections, they benefited me incredibly, and they'll benefit other people incredibly, because even if you don't have the support from home, if you don't, for the job you would like, which is obviously policing is dangerous, just like a lot of other jobs. If you don't have that support from home, if you're just having a bad day and you're like, wow, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't want to go to the gym today. Having other people going through it with you, who are in the same place as you, is so beneficial. And I personally can say, I've had 2 or 3 group chats with women who are going through it, or who are going through it just like me. And it's fantastic. You encourage each other, you push each other. You're
So
like,
good.
Yeah.
who's going to a prep test today? Like, is anyone going to this one? Like, post, videos of, I'm going to the gym today, ladies. Like, who's with me on this?
Yeah, it's great. It's great advice, because the
Yeah.
general
You
thought
need that.
sometimes is like, oh, this is my goal, and people isolate themselves with their
Yep.
goal. But you're basically saying, open up to the community. It's enriching for you as well as the other people, and you guys help each other get there. Because it's not like, look at it like, it's like you're meeting the community that's saying they're going to climb a mountain. Why do it by yourself? It's so much more advantageous. Let's keep each other accountable, try to get there. That environment. I mean, like, if you look at any elite sport, the best, no matter what country they're from, I mean, depends if, geographically it's feasible, but the best in any sport, you know what they do? They train together. And then during the season, they're on separate teams, okay, whatever. But they get together to train because they spur each other to be better, right? Yeah.
That's how you grow.
Yeah, and it's there. Even you can do things individual by yourself. If running is something you struggle with, or if it's the beep test you struggle with, you can get the beep test. There's an app. You can get the beep test. You can go in a parking lot, or
The beloved beep test, the
Yes.
shuttle run.
The shuttle run, yes.
Level 2.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the worst voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can go grab a tape measure. Like I did it as well. I was lucky enough to have a friend who's very supportive, and she goes, I'm gonna go run it with you. Even if she didn't offer it, I still went out. I measured the 20 meters.
Mm-hmm.
I played it on my phone, and I ran the beep test.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
And
it. You did Rocky 4. And have you seen Rocky 4, by the way?
I've seen all the Rockies. I love
Okay,
the
where he goes
Rockies.
to... I mean, what I'm hearing here is Rocky went to Russia to fight Drago.
Yes.
And he didn't have state-of-the-art gym equipment.
I must break.
Yeah, exactly. He was in the snow, putting logs on his back.
It's the best.
Like, he did it
It's the
hardcore.
best.
Right. And he didn't say, well, what am I going to do, guys?
I know. Make the most of what you have.
So, sir, the fact that you were able to identify something and say, hey, I'm not going to wait for any obstacles in my way. Like this is and I want to just one thing out here. Back in February, I don't know if you remember this or not. We had here a Women in Policing, and we had it hosted for Peel Regional.
I did. I attended that.
You did, and you actually asked a question, which we're going to actually on edit showcase that.
I'm Sarah as well. We unknowingly sat right next to each other. I just have a question for whoever wants to answer, I suppose. In terms of being in the application process, I know each service has their own minimum requirements of what everybody needs in order to submit their application. I was wondering if you guys could provide us with any sort of above and beyonds that we could do to put on our resume to make us, even that more desirable as a candidate.
What I thought was good about this, we opened up this segment for anyone interested in policing to come out. And again, we did this with Peel and we hosted it. And there was a couple of women that came out and a couple of guys. Sorry, that was the next one. It was just women. But what I liked about it, even the questions that you asked, and whether you remember them or not, and the way you deported yourself, you came in dressed super professional, all these things, you were thinking from back then, how am I going to make this happen? So again, I want people to hear right now that this is not just something, I'm going to apply to policing, let me do the prep test next week and whatever else, and then bam, you get in.
Yes.
This was like you basically planned your work and then you worked your plan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Absolutely.
you have benefited from that right now. And again, this is an inspiration piece because I want people to hear this. Also, I want to just tag all police services out here. People like Sarah, they're rare finds. You know that. And, I encourage police services to continue putting their magnifying glass on our organization because we got some incredible people like Sarah. And I'll tell you this, Sarah, it does hurt. As happy as I am for you, it does hurt that you're leaving us, but I'm so happy. And the best way to equate it is maybe like parents and their kids are off to university now and it's like they're gone from their home. That's going to be my daughter, by the way, next year. And I'm getting there. But
cue the violins.
Yeah, exactly. But the
violin.
fact that you've done that, I remember you telling me I was so excited and happy for you, the joy that came in because I've also made it evident I had massive desires getting into policing. It just so happened that now we help people get into policing, right? but to me, I think it's just an amazing story that you have, and I really do feel that if people literally listen to your words and play this on repeat, they can hear this is not just talk. This is something that was very methodical, something that you put a lot of time into. And keep in mind, Sarah never had this urge from a young child, like I did, for example. For me, I had from a very young age, I want to get into policing. This came in and through a discovery process in university. And again, you can be anywhere in your life to identify and tap into something, and that clarity came in. So kudos to you. Amazing job. This is not a luck thing. This is not a lot. This is literally your work doing this, you standing from the rest. And I am so happy for your journey. And we're going to probably get you back in here for updates as you go along. Because again, Sarah, what you're doing, just like your support group, this is what we're trying to create right now, a support group of listeners to be encouraged by your journey. Any last words you'd like to share?
It just, if anything, believe in yourself, because it doesn't matter how many people believe in you, you have to believe in yourself. So if you're going to do it for anybody, do it for you. And I mean, I've given, I've answered all your questions, and hopefully people can have some good takeaways from that. And I do encourage people, if they're going to apply, please, just like a job, please do your research on your services.
Beautiful.
Really think about it. Think about, and look at all aspects of it. Look at their shift schedules. Look at what they're going to offer you, where you could possibly
be stationed.
Be stationed.
Yeah.
All of those things, you have to take them into consideration,
Mm-hmm.
and go to things like their information sessions. Go to, if they offer an opportunity for women, if they if they offer the opportunity for a women's symposium day like Sentinel offered us, go to it. It's also, you have to make your best decision, because a mistake I made when I first went is I applied to everybody. Not to say that, services are going to knock you for that. If anything, it should show how bad you want the job.
Right.
I would hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into the paperwork and going through the process, and you have that many services all asking you for the same thing, because for whatever reason, they always come and knock in at the same time.
That's how it is. Yes.
It's always the way.
I mean, you put your hand up for all of them.
Yes.
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, my advice: pick your top 2, pick your top 3. Just apply to those.
Okay.
Because when
That's good. Good advice.
When they start coming at you for, all right, I need you to do your pre-background. I need you to give me, I need you to fill out all of this with your work history, your this, your that. It's a lot. It's going to take a lot. And if you're working full time or you have a family or whatever it is, it just makes it that much harder when you have multiple to do at once.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So if I can give people advice when they do apply,
Yes.
just pick your top 2 or your top 3, but do your research.
Okay.
Where can you see yourself the most? And you might find, when you go to an information session, even just sitting in the building and, having them explain things to you, if it doesn't feel, if it doesn't feel like home to you, it's probably not the place.
Yeah,
it's probably not
really
the
good.
service for you.
Really good advice.
If you feel comfortable in that building and you can see yourself, if you can see yourself in the service, I would say apply to that service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had that with Toronto. I had that with York.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Just
Really-
give it a lot of thought.
Really good
And
advice.
please, whatever you do not give up.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it takes you a year, if it takes you 5 years. If this is your dream, stick with it. Find people to help you, and put in the work. You'll get there.
That's
You'll
awesome.
get there.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good. Mike, we just heard some amazing
No,
words
so
today.
good. So good.
Any closing final words on your end?
No, I just hope that not a stranger after keep us in the loop of everything that you're doing. I mean, we've had the privilege of some
course.
in the last year that have moved on, and they've come in, and it's just so great to hear their experiences, and they're telling us that they felt that they were really prepared their time here because everyone took it seriously, and did it in a professional way with empathy. And just think about that word empathy that you've learned and really, really embraced in the last year to take that into policing. It's much needed, and I think you're going to be a great asset to TPS. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. If you can find anybody to help you through the process, whether that's your company or, meeting somebody going to an information session or whatever it is, it's so beneficial. Even if they have, a year on you or whatever it might be, maybe you'll find someone who knows someone who's just recently has been a constable for a year. I had that myself. I had someone help me who knew a lot about the recruitment process because he had gone through it more than once. It's so beneficial to have somebody help you. Not to say that you can't take advice from, say, you have a family friend who's been on for 30 plus years. Yes, they can give you a lot of great advice, but it's been 30 years since they got hired.
Yeah, things have changed.
Things have changed, right?
Yeah.
So as much as they might want to help you, and I'm not saying they would steer you in the wrong direction, but there is a possibility for that. It's always better to have somebody who's done it either very, very recently or has even just gotten to a further stage than you did previous.
I mean, that one way to stand out is get that information that you need, right? I mean, why walk in blind if you don't need to? You can just get a real sense of what should you make your emphasis. That's great advice.
Yep.
Great advice.
That's awesome. Well, look, again, Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Toronto, congratulations. You guys got yourself an amazing personnel. And also for all police services listening, because we do have quite a bit, and we work with many recruiters. If you're a recruiter listening right now and wondering, man, how do I make my service, level up? Please reach out to us. We're more than happy to catalog and show you the amazing people that we have in this organization that are very hungry and have this immense desire to basically do that.
They have the drive.
They have the drive.
And they've kind of found each other as a community here, which is super cool just to see. It's really cool that when you see people spur each other on in the same kind of goal.
That's it.
Yeah,
And we actually have about another 2 or 3 more people that will be making announcements too. Sarah, that actually also got on.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll put all those out in sequence. But for now, it's all about Sarah.
With an H.
Yeah, exactly. With an H. Sarah, thank you so much for coming down. Have an incredible journey and stay connected.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I'd love to come back, and if you guys have any questions for me about anything,
perfect.
as I move forward, by all means I'll come in and
Amazing.
have a chat.
I'll start working on your online course or tutorial. Okay. Sure.
Beautiful. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Take care. Bye.
Awesome.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.